All right, everybody, welcome to the 1804 Show, Chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is episode 278. And got a special guest with me tonight. you know, we finally got him on the couch.
He finally got me.
Yeah, we finally got him on the couch, you know what I'm saying? We have to, break his anxiety and everything, but it's all good. We're going to have a good time. We're going to laugh. We're going to be serious. And he going to be on camera, tonight.
Yup.
And stuff.
I'm ready.
So, man. So, how you doing, man? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good, but I ain't gonna lie, man. Like I got, I'm anxious right now. I ain't gonna lie. I don't like being on camera, man. I only ever even been on Facebook Live twice, bro. I remember one time, bro. I recorded Facebook Live. I got on Facebook Live for the fireworks for 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time I got on Facebook Live, I was actually unaware, so I was asleep, and somehow I had got on Facebook Live for like 2 hours, and people were just commenting like, "You good?" Because it was dark.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
And I just woke up to a bunch of comments and everything. Like, oh, snap. I was on there snoring and everything.
Yeah, that would have freaked me out, man.
But I'm good, bro. Thank you for asking. Man.
Yeah,
How about you?
Man, I'm great, man. So, you good, bro? Look at the lighting and everything like that. You crispy. You know what I'm saying?
Good. They can see me,
Oh, no doubt, no doubt, no
They
doubt.
can see me. I'm good.
But yeah, man, I just had to bring you on here, bro, to, share some thoughts, share your experiences with us and everything, because it's just really important that, everybody get the chance to tell a story. Because, how the world is nowadays, you just never know when it's your last. So,
That's true.
I got something to commemorate this night, because, a lot of people just really think they know us, but they have no
They
idea
really have no idea, bro.
what we've been through. So, how about you just take us from the beginning? Just from
The beginning.
Okay, let me reword it.
I mean, so what? Back in 1980, I started selling dope back in 1986. I bought a Cadillac. Y'all know the rest.
Man, you crazy.
Yeah. So expound on that. The beginning.
Okay, so, from our knowledge, because considering the studio audience and everything that's in the background with us, I don't got no ghost people.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
my dog's is back here right now. So.
So if you hear some laughs, you hear some jokes, that's not the ghost is speaking. We got our boys with us, in the background. So, but yeah, man, you're not originally born here, right?
No, I was not born here at Saginaw General like everybody else. No, so I'm originally born. I'm from Los Angeles, California, north side of Hollywood to be exact, Kaiser Permanente Hospital. I have, however, been in Saginaw basically my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
We flew here when I was about 2 years old. That was my first time on a plane until 2015. I was always terrified of flying. I'm scared of heights, deathly scared of heights. But I'm getting over my fear of flying gradually. So yeah, but Saginaw, Michigan is my home. Like,
Yeah.
this is my home. This is where my roots are. This is everything.
Yeah, so do you feel like, you a Cali kid and everything from heart? Or just Saginaw just mold you?
To be honest, yeah, Saginaw has completely molded me. I have parts of me, like, there's definitely parts in me, like I know I come around, my Dodgers fitted, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I love to rep Cali, and the fact that it's in my blood, that's where my dad is from. I still have family out there. So I take pride in all that, but Saginaw has definitely molded me. Definitely.
Yeah, so do you ever go back and
So, I have not been back to Cali. No, I have not been back to Cali, bro. And to be completely honest, like, it's really not that big on my bucket list. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's, so I don't know if it's just because this is where we grew up,
Yeah.
but LA, honestly, it just doesn't seem like it's my pace and my speed. Even in talking to my cousin, my close cousin, shout out Erin, she still lives in that area, and she actually came. The last time she came here was in 2016, when my father passed, and she was telling me then, like, we went out to Hamilton Street here, me, her, my sister, my brother, out there kicking and getting drunk, and I'm thinking like this probably ain't nothing to her. And after the fact, she was like, "Man, I love this so much." She was like, "It's just so different from LA. Everybody out there is just bougie, and it's just such a status thing, and you just out there to be seen.
Yeah.
You're not really even living in the moment and enjoying yourself." And that's kind of like that's how I feel. Like I'm a small city guy. Like I love bars, I love pubs. I'm not a club person. I'm not like I don't know. It's just so no. I haven't been back to Cali. I would like to go in the near future though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I feel you on that because when I was in St. Louis, and what I'm saying, having a good time and everything like that, I just didn't. It just didn't feel like home. What I'm saying, this will always be home to me, and everything, and I love the experience that I shared down there because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
But just Saginaw just breeds leaders. They breed followers, a lot of followers,
too.
but leaders as far as like you can just survive anywhere. Like
That's what I love. Like it sounds cliche because I think we've been hearing it our whole lives, but it's like legit. If you can make it in Saginaw, you can really make it anywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah.
man, you doing numbers, man. Shoot, you got all these comments.
I'm not even looking at the comments.
I know.
Can you scroll up? I seen some more, but I didn't read them really.
Let me see.
Oh, what up, Trail?
Yeah, shout out to Trail.
What up, Trail, my guy?
My bro Mark Nelson in the
I
building.
see. Okay. What
Nitty
he said?
Baker.
Oh, he said he loved Cali for real.
Yeah, he went without me one time,
Oh,
and
snap.
I was hurt. I was like, bro, we gonna have to do that again because that ain't count. You know what I'm saying?
He said that ain't count.
Because if I ain't,
Time to take a flight, just the experience is probably mad dope. Oh no, definitely. Like I said, it's definitely on my to-do list in the very near future. I've been procrastinating on that, getting back out there, primarily LA, but it's plenty of places in Cali and just on the West Coast period that I want to go. I really want to go to San Diego. That's like high on my bucket list. I just heard great things about the food out there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out there.
oh yeah, man, it's true. It's just a lot of, attractions. When you get there and stuff. So I just want to be able to experience it, but it's not about me. It's about you. But I'm just not trying to, take the whole episode out of context and everything like that. But we just, as young men, growing up in Saginaw and stuff, and just finding your way, finding your place in this world and everything. So how was it like as far as like growing up? Because you come from a very close knit family, so.
How was it for me growing up? Well, kind of, okay, first I want to expound on what you just said as far as being young men and like kind of like finding yourself and making it here in Saginaw. Like it's honestly a difficult thing to do because Saginaw is so small that like you just said a minute ago, like we breed a lot of leaders here, but there are tons of followers.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's so easy to fall into that follow the leader mentality here. And so I think a lot of people could find themselves struggling with like really finding who they are because you're so worried about what the next person here, is going to think about you. Some people are scared to really just be open about themselves. But thankfully, like growing up, I was always, I ain't gonna say I didn't care what people thought, because I did. I think, everybody feels that way growing up. Like, you want your peers and other people to like you, think you're cool, you know what I'm saying? But I have always had a very open mind, and that's because of my upbringing. I come from a mixed family, you know that.
Yeah.
Most of the, they probably don't know I'm mixed. I am Mexican, black, white, Indian, and Japanese.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm a mutt. So I grew up in a very mixed family, but I like I love that. You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like growing up, I got to experience so much. And yes, it was a close knit family. My father always preached like we're all we got. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't rely on your family, your immediate family, then who can you rely on? I was spoiled growing up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, I was definitely spoiled growing up, which can create some positive and some negative.
Yeah.
Spoiled to an extent though. Like my dad would never. I won't even say just my dad. My parents, they would not let me go without. Game systems, whatever I wanted. But the one thing they wouldn't get me was clothes.
Right.
Shout out to my brother. Shout out to Jason. He's the one that really started, hooking me up with all that, with the gear, the shoes, the clothes. He would give me his hand-me-downs and take me shopping and stuff like that, man. But even that, like, growing up, I'm my mother's only child. I do have two siblings. I have my older brother and my older sister. My older sister was never in the household with us. She lives out of state, has always lived out of state.
Yeah.
My brother Jason, he lived out of state most of my young childhood. He came here, I think I might have been in late elementary or maybe, no, I wasn't in middle school. It had to have been late elementary school when he came here from out of state. So that was like an adjustment growing up. I'm used to only being the only kid in the house, and now I got my big brother. And yeah, it was different. Like, it was cool. I know I used to get on his nerves. I used to go in his room and steal all his, like, cassette tapes and stuff, all his Bone Thugs, No Limit, all that.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm very thankful for how I was brought up. The good and the bad.
Okay. Yeah, man. Because, when you're a little brother, your big brother is like your first.
They're like everything to you, bro. Like, that's
everything.
your idol. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because they're so, like, it's just, you watch how they move.
Yeah.
And that was probably evident throughout most of my life. Like, I always wanted to be like Jason. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just, like you said, that's who you look up to. That if you're a little brother, that you automatically look up to your big brother.
Absolutely. And I tell this story almost all the time, me losing my brother. It was just like one of those chambers in my heart just vanished forever, And us being men, we really don't get the opportunity to, like, go through the healing process 100% because we gotta be the glue that keep everybody together, and we gotta ignore how we feel for the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
But then, like, doing that generates anger,
Resentment.
Yeah,
resentment, all
resentment,
that.
guilt.
Guilt? No, facts.
Guilt hurts more than the actual death because
Facts.
you just feel like you could have done more, or I could have hung out more. I could have told some friends no. Like, I catch y'all later.
You start to reflect and, things you could have changed. But we don't know that when we're going through it. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like the gift and the curse about that.
Yeah, and especially, like, when you're the fixer. When you the helper.
Yeah.
And then when you go through something like that, traumatic, people just expect you to fix yourself or help yourself. And it comes a time where you don't know how to get the help, or you don't see that you need help because you've been through worse things before, to the point that you feel like this is, nothing new that I have faced or anything like that. But it actually is in reality, reality as far as, like, you see that you got to be more involved, like, as far as, like, your mother or your sister or anybody that was really, like, affected by a person's loss. Like, you have to, pick up the slack, you have to carry the load now, and that's pressure.
Man.
And
You know, I know.
yeah, and I just, whatever you feel comfortable talking about, bro, that's fine.
Mm.
Cause I don't want to rehash no, old wounds or anything like that. But
Oh no, I'm, you know.
but how about you tell us, your story?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Use,
because if we
can use
talking,
Nip. Yeah, you can use Nip.
oh, I got my little new one I just bought right here. R.I.P. Nip too though. And for the people out there watching, this is just a cigar. This is not marijuana.
Yeah, we don't do drugs over here sometimes, but we don't.
Weed, bro.
Just a cigar. Okay. So, and I'm pretty comfortable about talking about all that.
Okay.
It's been a couple years now, and I'm in a healthy place.
Cool.
So just a little backstory for those of y'all who don't know. Like, what he's asking me about is my father and my father passing. So my father was always like, kind of. He just said a minute ago about, as a little brother, your big brother is your idol. Like, that's facts. But my father was as well. Like, my father was always like just this big, great man in my eyes. Strong, great provider. You know what I'm saying? Very wise. And around the time I graduated from high school, around 2005, 2006, he had became ill. He was having some heart issues, diabetic, and he had to actually retire out of the plant early. Basically a forced retirement because he couldn't work because of his heart. So that turned into a whole process of trying to get aid and help from the state for, medical assistance, all that, financial assistance. So I felt a lot of pressure at that point. And it wasn't even pressure that was requested or asked of me, but I'm seeing this man that was this great provider, and now he can't do that. And so I just automatically feel the need to step in.
Yeah.
And which I tried to do to the best of my ability. So that happened, that lasted for a while. And it was a tough process, like from 2006 to 2016, those 10 years, it was a tough process because I actually had some trauma from when I was a kid that was really never healed. I had open wounds from when I was a kid. So I lost my grandfather when I was in, fourth grade? And my grandfather was my right-hand man. And so that was a very tough loss for me. And so once my dad got sick, it would always take me back to that place because it's like, damn, I felt that pain of losing my granddad, and I have these visions of now losing my father. And it would just open those old wounds. So from 2006 to 2016, that was a rough period of my life. Fast forward to about 2014, 2015, my dad's health was getting increasingly worse at a rapid pace. 2016, he got on dialysis. I think he might have had like his 4th or 5th heart attack. He had 2 open heart surgeries at that point, stents put in his heart. So he was hospitalized around, I want to say July or August of 2016. He was hospitalized, and they actually sent him home with like a hospital bed and all that. He had caretakers coming to the house and everything, and it was painful to see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was hard. And shout out to my mom, because she's so strong for going through all that with him. Like, that woman stood by his side, took care of him without any issues, with no second guessing. Like that was her job. Like that, like that was her calling.
Right.
But so yeah, he was hospitalized. He got sent home in a hospital bed and all that. So October 2016. October 17th, my girlfriend and I had I remember I got home from work. I was working out of town. I came home, got off the highway, hopped in the shower. I said, hey, let's go to Olive Garden. So we go to Olive Garden, We going back to the crib. And one of my worst fears happened. So we go to the crib. We walk in, and I see something straight ahead on the ground. I'm like, what the heck? And so before I could even process anything, I said, well, hey, I told her, I said, hey, go upstairs. Just go upstairs. And I go back to where I saw something at, and it was my dad laying on the ground. And it wasn't too, like, I didn't know what was going on at first because he has had issues of, like, falling down. You know, he was overweight. He had issues of falling over, passing out, whatever. And so I'm like, yo, Pop, like, you know, wake up, wake up. Unfortunately, he was passed. He was deceased at the time when I found him. And I had an overwhelming sense of anger and resentment. I remember those were like the two biggest things I was feeling in the moment. I wasn't even sad. I was angry and I was resentful. Because I felt like I wasn't ready for him to leave. So I was angry at him for that. I remember I even stormed out the crib. Like, after I called 911, I called them. I said, hey, you know, I need somebody here. After I called them, I stormed out the crib because I was mad. And, you know, I had a hot temper.
Yeah, oh, what you mean?
Listen, I've gotten a lot better with that, though. I got a whole lot better with my temper.
Shit. Wait, I'm a remind them.
Hey, look, I was just telling them about that today.
Yeah.
So anyways, so the ambulance and everybody get there, and it was difficult, man, because I had felt so much responsibility in that moment because I found him, and I had to relay that message to everybody. I had to call my mom. I had to call my brother, call my sister. Like, that was a lot to take on. That's a lot to tell somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But in hindsight, I'm thankful for that. Like, I feel like God chose me to be in that situation instead of any one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows how any one of them would have reacted to that in the moment.
Right.
So I accept that. I take that proudly almost. So yeah, that happened, man. And it was tough to deal with. After it was a big adjustment. It was a big adjustment, man. And I want to touch on something too. So you said that, oh gosh, what was my thought? I'll get back to it. Yeah, it was a big adjustment, man. And I didn't really know how to handle it. I didn't know how to process that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to grieve. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew I was sad. I didn't know what to do with those emotions. And it didn't help that I had to pretty much go right back to work. Like, it might have been like 4 days later. And what made it even worse is where I was working at GM at the time is where my dad had his heart attacks and retired from. So it's like instantly walking through those doors of the plant, I just think of him. You know what I'm saying? So that was tough to deal with, to be on the assembly line for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and this is the only thing on your mind, and you're expected to function as if everything's okay. So that whole process was tough. Like, I feel like I didn't even have the time to grieve because life just continues.
And you mind if I can add something real quick?
Go ahead.
Working at the hospital myself, my brother was at my hospital for 3 days until he went to paradise and everything. So, you know, just like you said, I didn't have time to really adjust to this new life and everything because I was the breadwinner of my household, and I had to go back to work like 2 weeks after that.
Like it never happened.
And just when I would go into the building, the morgue would be right where we would clock out. So I would be terrified to go to that entrance for 6 months straight. Like I would have to go to the main entrance, side doors, because I was just trying to avoid that entrance for the longest, and it just people don't understand. Like men get afraid too. Like
Facts.
we scared too. You know what I'm saying?
We can't show it. Well, we're not supposed to show it.
But yeah, I can relate, man, because I didn't know like what was wrong with me, because when I would be at work, I would like be in my head for like hours at a time, just trying to get a memory, trying to get a recollection, but it just never happened. It never worked really. But I would just used to just dig inside my subconscious, like, because even to this day, I don't remember my brother's voice.
Okay.
I don't remember my father's voice.
Okay.
So I'm just asking, do you have any difficulties like that?
So initially I did.
Mm-hmm.
And and it was crazy because it was like I was so used to talking to my dad pretty much every day, whatever, on a consistent basis, and that really bothered me. After he passed, I was having a hard time, like you said, like even remembering his voice, his sound, his mannerisms, and it bothered me because I'm like, how do you forget something like that if you've been with somebody your whole life? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that just slip your mind?
Right.
And that was an internal battle that I had to face for about a year.
Yeah.
And then I never forget. One night, man, I had a dream, bro. And my pops came to me in my dream. And it wasn't a long dream, but it was extremely vivid, extremely clear.
Mm-hmm.
And he just came up to me and gave me a hug. Now, I forget the words he said. I know he spoke to me. And I woke up smiling. I woke up happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in that moment, I really needed that. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, for that first year after he was gone, that was a big battle I had inside myself. Like, dang, like, I have to go the rest of my life without even remembering you.
Yeah.
I have a thought of you, but I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And since that first dream, I've had some dreams occasionally. And it always just makes me real happy, man. Like, and I feel like they always come at those times when I'm feeling kind of down, when I really need it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to me how that works, though. Like, when it comes just in the nick of time.
Oh, yeah, like, from my research and everything, spirits of our loved ones, they come to the people that is lost without them first. Then they get everybody else,
Okay.
But I had those dreams, too, about my brother. I even went back to my old childhood home, and I saw myself playing as a little kid outside. And that shit was, like, crazy because I didn't expect it, but nobody could see me except my mom at the time, right? And she had to be like my age, around like the age gap or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so she said something. She was like, get your black ass in this house and get ready for dinner and shit. So I go running into the front door and into the house, and then she turned around and she's like, "You coming too?" And I was like, "You see me?" You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "Yeah, I know my own son and everything. Get in here. We all about to have dinner." So I go. Everything is where I remember it as a kid. So I walk into the living room. I'm like, dang, this is some goosebump shit, right? And so I go into the kitchen. I sit down. My sister there. She don't see me. But then my brother comes from his bedroom. He comes from the bedroom to the kitchen. Then he sits next to me. And I'm just like freaking out. Like, I mean, ecstatic, but I'm happy to see him,
But it's still freaky.
And it's crazy because, like, he was, like, young, but he was, like, old at the same time. He still had, like, his older voice, but he was young. And I was just like, man, why you leave me, man? Like, I still needed you. Like, I've been suffering. I've been going through all this. I've seen so much that you ain't seen. Why you leave me like that? And he was like, well, how else I was supposed to get your attention?
Damn.
And I'm just like crying, like, man, like, tell me more than that. I don't want to hear that shit. And he just telling me like, well, you won't be who you are today if I didn't leave you. Because you always depended on me. You always expected me to save the day. And
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
so I had to leave you in order for you to know that you have strength. And I'm going to be watching over you, and you be careful. You be safe out here.
Mm-hmm.
And when he told me that, man, I woke up just instantly. And I went from hurting every day to like the birthdays and anniversaries. But people just think grief happens from A to D.
In like a time frame.
Yeah.
No, grief goes on.
But that should be like A to Z.
Yeah. It doesn't, it's not even like, it's not like grieving or grief is a consistent thing even, you know what I'm saying? You can go months and months with being fine and then it can hit you.
Yeah.
I don't think the grieving process ever really stops, to be honest.
No.
I mean, at least not from my experience. It's been going on 6 years since he passed, and I still, you know, it hits me. But we're human. It's a natural emotion, I think. And I was in a kind of similar situation, man. Like, even though I was doing my own type of thing out here, actually, my man had brought this up today.
Mm-hmm.
So with, you know, current situation I got going on, he told me, he said, man, I feel a lot better if Pops was here. I'm like, well, why do you say that? He said, because he was just like that security blanket.
Yeah.
He just knew so much. And that just kind of made me think about that when you just said, like, I had to leave you. You know what I'm saying? So that you can come into your own, so that you could do things on your own. And that was a big part of what happened with me as well. Because it made me realize, like, it wasn't no more. It wasn't no more, yo, Pop, I'm in this bind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I need something for the car, or I need you to get me out of jail, or, you know, it was just, now it was me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that as well. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely something that helped me grow. And to this day, still helps me grow. But I was thinking, man, so I had this thought. So you know how I said, who knows how any like my brother, my sister, or my mom would have reacted in that moment if they were the ones to find him. Crazy thing is, bro, probably 11 or 12 years ago, I was at church, and my pastor called me up to the pulpit. He said, man, God gave me a message for you. God told me that you are, you're a healer. And I'm like, I was young. I was like, what are you talking about? A healer? I ain't no doctor. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about?
Right.
And it took me until after my dad passed, probably about 2 years after my dad passed, and it dawned on me. I had like this revelation. I said, you know, I feel like that's what my pastor was referring to, a healer, because now I have this connection to other people who have lost a parent or lost a loved one or just lost anybody, a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can connect, and you know, we connect on that a lot. It's hard to connect with somebody on that type of time and on that level if they haven't experienced it. They can feel sad for you.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It's only so much they can do. It's only so much you can do with somebody if you haven't went through something. And that's not even just death. That's on a lot of different levels. But after that, you know, I would talk to people, and it wouldn't even always be direct. I might post something on Facebook, and somebody would come to me down the line and be like, yo, you don't know how much I needed that. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you did for me in this time, in this moment. And that's when it all kind of started coming to me, like, man, like, a healer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only for strangers, but for my family as well. Thankfully, being strong enough to even handle that type of situation and being there for others to lean on. You know, like I said, man, I'm grateful for that.
Okay, man. So, like I said, I was gonna bring up something from what we talked about.
Okay.
because it helped me out too. You know, when we was helping you move when Pops was here.
Yep.
And, you know, I kind of broke a dresser because I lost grip.
Yep. It was a mistake.
But,
I wasn't trying to hear that.
oh, no. You was on red that day. But,
I blanked out.
but yeah, that was really like the first time I actually seen you mad because you so cool, calm, and collective. So
I'm very poised.
Yeah, so
For the most part.
but that was like really like the first time, like I actually, you know, see you rowdy and shit, and I was thankful for that because that was me during that whole period.
And you just had it in you.
Yeah, cause I was just vengeful, like
Yep.
for like just. Cause I'm not one of those people that try to act like, oh, people just did me wrong and this and that. But I did some wrong too. You know, I turned some people away. And it just was like, seeing you react like that gave me like, damn, that's how I've been to everybody. So like, I couldn't even get mad. You know, I was just like, I'm thankful that you showed me that. Because it allowed me to apologize to the people that actually was reaching out, that actually did care about my well-being and this and that. But it's like when you in that moment, it's like people think you're the same person, but you're not.
You're not.
And my question to you, because, you know, a lot of people fall out over the pettiest things these days.
Oh, yeah.
So when you kind of like, you know, once the smoke had cleared and you kind of was like reflecting on what happened, like what was just the key ingredient that made you just, you know, apologize?
I mean, it's not very like profound or anything, but to be honest, like I just knew I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? It took a lot of reflection. I had to sit down and think about what happened.
You listening, women? Accountability.
Accountability, man. Hey, for real, women do need to take accountability, but men too. There's a lot of men that don't take accountability, man. I think that's real important to be able to find a place in your life when you can finally hold yourself accountable for something serious. You know what I'm saying? But I knew it was wrong. Yeah. And it took me to realize, like, I wasn't really mad at you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't. But I had a lot of built up. Like I said, my first two emotions I felt when I found my father was anger and resentment. That was still in me. So it took the smallest thing to set me off. I was basically waiting for something to set me off because I wanted to get that out. You know, I needed to lash out. And it just so happened that you was 5 feet, not even, you was 2 feet away from me.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? I just,
And shout out to the guys that was here that broke us up.
Hey, listen. If y'all don't, I mean, you can't see him right here, right next to me, but if we stand up and you see him and you see me, he should have whooped my ass.
No, but you know what I'm saying? I know, you know, I love you, dog. So
oh, no doubt.
It's different.
But you
It's
know
a
what?
difference.
But you know what, bro? And maybe for different reasons than you, but like you said, you're glad it happened because it helped you see things clearly on your end. I'm glad it happened because I feel like it brought us a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it brought us a whole lot closer. It was something like, and I joke a lot. Like, I was joking today, and I was like, y'all ain't my real brothers until we fight. You know what I'm saying? But I really think that's true. Like, I don't, it ain't even had to be nothing serious, but there's been times when I done tussled or scrapped it out with my best friends. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real.
And we'd go about our business like it never even happened.
Oh, hell yeah, because when a friendship is too perfect, man, I'm skeptical. Like,
it ain't no good, bro. It ain't. You got to test it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And my thing is, like, when I was just going through, you know, trying to get myself back together and everything, you know, I did a lot of bad things, you know what I'm saying? As far as like my coping mechanisms and shit, you know what I'm saying?
I had some very unhealthy coping mechanisms too.
In translation, you know, I was a thought, I was a hoe and shit, you know what I'm saying?
You said was?
Well,
I'm playing.
well, I was promiscuous and everything, and was just drinking a lot.
That was my thing.
You know, and I never said that I was gonna be weed ahead, but I was into the weed really bad. You know, I was really paranoid because I just felt like, you know, my soul was snatched from me, and just everybody just, you know, still depending on you to keep the lights on, keep food in the house. You know, just be that reassurance to everybody, but you just feel like, damn, like, do anybody care about me suffering on the inside, or trying to dissect that, you know, to the point that I just didn't care, you know? So it took somebody that really loved me to really sit me down and was like, do you want this to last for years, or do you want to take your life back in a matter of days? So I just had to just sit back and just be like, you know, one day I'm going to pass away. If I'm still stuck in this mode, or if I'm still stuck in this cage that I created all by myself.
All by yourself.
You know, and yeah, like I was just walking the Green Mile every day, you know, to the point that
Not the Green Mile.
I mean, you know, I had to use some type of analogy, but I just felt like I had to just take my life back.
Yeah.
And what was the point that made you be like, okay, I gotta fix this? You know, I gotta.
That's a good question, man.
Yeah.
What was the point that made me think like that? That I gotta fix this. I gotta break this cycle of unhealthy coping. I gotta think on that for a second. That is a really good question, and I know there was an exact point for me. Honestly, man, I think I don't even know if there was an actual exact point. So my big coping mechanism was drinking. And I was turning to the alcohol heavily because in the moment it'd make me feel better. I would forget about the sorrows.
Yeah.
But I think what really finally got my attention is what Kanye say, what's worse, the pain or the hangover? I realized that I was making the pain worse with that. You know what I'm saying? I was coping in the moment, and I was even more sad after the fact. Hold on, can I get a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. Oh my god! I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And then too, since I took a quick break, can we get 2 shot glasses? I don't know where the shot glasses is at.
Oh, they in the cabinet.
Can you grab 2 of them, bro? Speaking of alcohol, can we get 2 shot glasses?
Oh.
But yeah, so it was just like I said, it was like I realized I was making the pain worse. I was making the pain worse, man, and it wasn't healthy. Like I just had to stop. Not only was I making the pain worse, but with drinking, I also had some close calls to where it was like, what am I doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is not how he would want me to react to this situation.
Right.
At all. This is not how he raised me. This is not what he taught me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Drink out of this punk ass blood.
Thank you.
Hey, man, that's my old cousin Chuck remembrance right here.
Hey, yeah. Hey, R.I.P. Chuck Rogers, man.
Yeah, that's my cousin Chuck right there. Yeah.
So yeah, man, like it wasn't like a one defining moment for me that made me realize like I got to get my life back. Another thing though that really helped me, because like I said, drinking was a coping mechanism. Another one of my coping mechanisms that people probably don't even think about as often, for me, was working. I buried myself in work as many hours as I could get because it would just help me be mindless
Right.
at the job. You know what I'm saying? Mindless, not even having to think about it, being a robot.
I was really the opposite, but
Right.
yeah.
So but that's not healthy. Like, yeah, of course I was
Yeah.
making some better money in the moment, but it wasn't healthy either.
Yeah.
I was just trying to deflect my problems.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I found that I ain't gonna lie. Even recently, I still did that. Even when I was working at Next Year, you know all them hours I was working.
Hell
A lot of the
yeah.
time it wasn't just for the check. It was to get away from my own thoughts. Because I could go in there, put my earbuds in, and be a robot.
Yeah.
But overall, man, all in all, never gonna be glad that my dad passed. But I'm very thankful for what it taught me, what it put me through. Just all the lessons I got from it, even, you know, the pain, everything, because it just all helped me grow. Like, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's what it does, you know, because it's people that's going through it now, you know, that's on our timelines and stuff. And I hate to be like a spokesperson, but I feel like it's my duty to let everybody know, like, it's going to be okay. Like,
yeah, oh no, facts. It's gonna be okay.
because if I can make it, you can do it. Because I had 11 deaths on both sides of my family in 5 years.
That's a lot. That's crazy.
And I talk about that in the book, you know, and just putting people where I was at and just seeing it from my scope and just making sure that people understand, like, I'm not no gimmick. I ain't no fake. This is what I've been through, and this is where I'm going at this point. And hopefully your strength and your moral compass is, you know, strong enough to withstand, like, the shock factor and then the pain and the grief, the anguish and stuff. But we just, you know, we just keep going. We don't make excuses over here. And I just try to just be an example or just a vessel for people who've been through it but don't have the courage to tell their own story or try to, you know, keep it locked up or bottled away. But you just never know where somebody been or what somebody going through. So we, you know, we appeared as just outstanding men, but it was a time that we wasn't.
Oh, facts.
But we still men, you know, we still
Still
great men, and
Yeah.
it's just really important that just the world is able to channel that. But yeah, man, you have any last thoughts?
I kind of do. So I just had a thought. And I want to touch back on to how you just asked me, like, what was the moment or what kind of helped you realize you had to take your life back and get things back in order? So I actually did have a moment that I kept going back to. So like I said, I lost my grandfather when I was young. I never actually knew my father's parents. I only had my mom's parents, so those were the only grandparents I had. I lost both of them in elementary. First my grandmother, then my grandfather. And like I said, I always had open wounds from that.
Yeah.
And one of the things that almost immediately hurt me when my dad passed, literally like within that like first hour when the family all came through and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fam came through, paramedics were still there. My pastor came through, and this is something I won't ever forget. I know my pastor said, because my pastor had lost his father years ago prior, but it's still, you never forget that.
No,
You know
never,
what I'm saying?
Never.
And so he knew he knew what I was feeling. And he just told me, he said, son, it's going to be okay. And I remember I broke down because I said, man, I had all these thoughts of my grandfather coming back. And I'm like, yo, like, I immediately thought of my youngest nephew, Jason Jr., Peanut. And I'm like, I don't want him to go through what I went through my whole life now that he lost his grandfather.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was also something that I would always reflect and think back on when I was doing certain stuff that I knew wasn't healthy. And I'm like, I need to be a better example for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let him know that you can get through this. It's not as bad as it seems. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wish I had that growing up too. You know what I'm saying? I could get deep with it, man. But I'm just thinking, so I can get deep with it. But so that was something that also helped me, man. Just thinking back on that, like, I really had to lead by example.
And the best thing about that is what we said earlier, like how we looked up to our big brothers and to the people that we love, our nieces and nephews in that same
regard.
Same guard.
Yeah, same regard, man.
And because my niece never knew any of that, like, but she's older now, so I had to pretty much tell her, like, your Uncle Willow may be your superhero and your protector, but I'm a human being.
Yeah, bro.
Like, and she was like, why you never tell me? I'm like, you was 8 years old. Like, what?
They can't understand that.
I look like I feel like a toxic individual telling my problems to an 8-year-old.
Yeah, no, that's not the avenue to take.
But now you're 15, so you have a better understanding of it was you guys that kept me going, because I didn't want to, have y'all lose 2 uncles on your mom's side, and I'm your only uncle that y'all know. So
that's real.
And then my nephew was born. It was like, okay, I got to get my shit together now.
I know that was a big turning point for you. I remember talking to you about that.
And just what really got me on the right path was when the night my first godchild was born.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, now I got to do something. And 3 days later, I started this platform, and I've been on it since.
That's crazy, bro.
So,
that's crazy. It's something else I want to say too that I was thinking about. Like I said, I got a lot of thoughts right now. One of the things. Oh, before I even get into this, maybe we can close with that. What I wanted to ask you, actually, you just asked me, what were kind of how you just said, what was something that made you turn things around, and then we also talked about the unhealthy coping mechanisms. Mm-hmm. What do you feel was a healthy coping mechanism? Because that's the thing too. People should have healthy coping mechanisms.
Oh, okay. Getting rid of those fake friends that I had.
Okay.
Because they weren't really my peoples to begin with. Because people shouldn't be judging you when you, knowing that they know you, like your history, they know your makeup, they know who you are, and then they see this new person. They shouldn't judge the new person.
No.
They should be there.
Because you're like that for a reason. You didn't just change for nothing.
Yeah, so I just always felt like when it came down to making it out of that, it was gonna be people that really was cared about me and was concerned about me. Mm-hmm. And one of those people, of course, was you, and my god brother Mark Nels, my homeboy Tony, just people that is regularly on my call log.
Right.
Those are the people that really fucks with you. Those are the people that really care about you. Is the people in your call log rather than your contact list.
Big time, bro. I was looking at my contact list today. I probably called 10 to 15 people out of 100 contacts. Probably more contacts,
but that was one of my good coping mechanisms, because I found out who really was down for me for real, and not forget. Shout out to my homegirl Danielle as well. She's a sweetheart. While everybody turned on me and shit, she stayed down, her temperance, a little bit everybody.
Okay.
And just now, being the #1 show in Saginaw.
Hey, 1804.
It just I don't let it get to me, because I realize that the work that it took for me to get to this point. So I'm going to always be humble. I'm going to always be just approachable. Mm-hmm. I ain't going to be Hollywood. I know.
You better than me, because I'll be Hollywood. I'm from Hollywood.
I mean, I'm going to have a Dave Chappelle revenge, cliche. But other than that,
and I'm joking, by the way, people. I'm humble. I will always be humble.
But I will not ever change a thing that happened to me.
No.
Because it really just taught me a whole lot about just society. And then myself. You know, a lot of people don't know who they are. So it just
That's-
really taught me about just me. Instead of trying to find and figure out people, the hardest part is figuring who you are.
Figuring out yourself, bro.
Yeah.
Big time. And that's kind of what I said in the opening when you asked me, like, to, give a backstory and about growing up here. That's what I said. A lot of people struggle with finding themselves, bro. And that's so important to do, no matter how you go about it, no matter how long it takes you. You should really just truly find out who you are.
Oh, y'all can turn the air on if y'all want.
They over there dying.
I'm straight though.
You got a hoodie on.
I know I'm baking,
You
but I'm
tripping.
straight though. But I'm just in the mode though.
No, facts. But so I think for me, man, some of my
It's at the bottom. The button.
started from the bottom. Now we hit.
Okay.
For me, I would say like healthy coping mechanisms. So for one, and you've said this before, because I think you and I felt like we differed in this way, was you felt like at the time, or more, at least in the beginning of with your loss, that you didn't really have as strong of a support system as I did. And I know you always used to say, like, I'm happy that you have that. And I definitely had a strong support system. Like, shout out to my guys. Like, I have a amazing group of friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, my brothers.
Yeah.
And sisters. Like, shout out to my dog, Cynthia, man. That's, she
Yeah.
helped me through so much. But so, like, just my support system, and that made all the difference for me. But I would say, like, one of my healthiest coping mechanisms has been music. So it's crazy because, like, I remember, man, growing up, my dad used to hate that I would listen to rap. I used to try to get rap posters and stuff, and he'd be like, man, that ain't real music. But,
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't get it at the time. Like, what do you mean it is real music? You don't know, you ain't got good taste.
Right.
But this was coming from somebody, my grandfather, his dad was a jazz musician. And so he grew up in that, you know what I'm saying? He grew up with instruments,
Yeah.
live music, real vocals, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time, like, my dad, like,
They can't hear us. Now,
with that,
yeah. We go shut this off. For
I gotta,
a couple seconds.
yeah.
Yeah, we gonna shut this off a couple seconds. Yeah. Well.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was healthy coping mechanisms. Cynthia, I don't know if you heard me shout you out. I said, I was talking about my strong support system and, just my friends, my amazing group of friends and my brothers, Quay, Short, DJ, OJ, James, Zook, Tyler, everybody. I can go on and on. Don't take offense if I ain't name you. But Cynthia, like I said, Cynthia, you are my dog, man. You done helped me through so much. If I needed to get out and drink, if I just needed somebody to sit in the car with and talk for hours, you know what I'm saying?
Is she always this sarcastic?
Bro, she's as sarcastic as me.
Oh damn. Okay.
We can go back and forth all day.
Okay.
What she been saying? I don't.
She said sound like a plane
taking
taking
off
off.
with a hole in the plane. sound like my old muffler. But no. So the music though, like I was saying, like I've gained such an appreciation, and we've both always been musical people.
Yeah.
Fans of just music in a whole.
Right.
But after my dad passed, it made me just really start being a lot more open and taking deeper dives into certain genres, and I like just live music, guitars, jazz, saxophones, all that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's one of my healthy coping mechanisms. Like, there are songs that just give me life, man. Like, I sound like such a basic chick when I say that. Give me life, but you say what? I did what? So my boy is trying to clown me talking about I'm basic because tonight we was hanging out and it was on me to pick a restaurant to go to, and I chose Applebee's.
Yeah,
But what I just say? Well, I'm humble. I like Applebee's, man. Like, you can never miss with the grilled chicken dinner with the broccoli and the mashed potatoes. I'm basic. Cool, whatever. But, yeah, so, I'm glad we got to share our healthy coping mechanisms.
Absolutely. Because it's a balance.
Mechanisms.
Yeah.
To healthy coping mechanisms while we drink liquor. Bet.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me on the show, bro.
But no problem, man. See,
Even though I turned you down time and time again.
See, I told you was gonna be straight, bro. Like,
Who said I'm straight? I could be nervous as courage a cowardly dog inside right now.
but yeah, we gonna end this episode. You know, we getting hot over here, but
Very
you know,
hot.
But shout out to my brother, my friend, over 20 years, Mr. Josh Allen. You know, we
We done been through a lot.
yeah, been through a lot, you know, and it's just one of those greatest things to still have somebody that, you know, you started from the bottom with, and now, you know.
In other words, we've been cool since you was my height.
Man, go, you crazy. Yeah, pretty true, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, you know, shout out to everybody who tuned in.
Thank y'all.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the 1804 Show Chapter 2.
Mitch, what up, Mitch? That's another one. We
Yeah,
way back.
Yeah,
to
man.
to the ponytail days.
But yeah, y'all, we gonna end this episode. Thank y'all for tuning in. And
Thank y'all.
everybody be safe on this Friday night. And we out.
Just what?
Yeah, peace.